and welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the business podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 51 of the Jobs podcast for this stupid website that I do sometimes. Pretty much every day at this point. Every day, mostly because I have to edit videos and put out the videos, which, according to this tiny little hard drive, there's like 12 videos I need to put out. Oh, God. Then some interviews and things like that. Before I get started on anything, I was reading an article on the New York Times, and this is not one of the things I'm going to talk about. I just want to mention it in passing. It is from Priya Krishna, currently of New York Times fame, formerly of Bon Appetit. But she wrote a piece, not even an article, it's a piece called "The Customized Drink is Out of Control." And it's covering all of the expensive drinks that places like McDonald's, spinoff kiosk Cosmix, as well as other places like Seven Brew, Foxtail Coffee Co., Just Love Coffee Cafe, and Elianos Coffee. These growing coffee chains, and they have these expensive drinks, like $10 for a drink with boba and coffee and whipped cream and all this. And it's like, and anyway, all this to say is I'm reading through this article. People talking about these drinks they're getting at Starbucks or McDonald's or whatever, or Cosmix. Brown sugar, shaken espresso with oat milk. And then add on a scoop of vanilla bean powder, a few pumps of vanilla syrup, cinnamon cold foam, and a lining of caramel syrup, costing you $9.73. That is disgusting. That is so gross. All right? And I'm not saying this because I'm some hipster idiot with a espresso machine and a Chemex and an AeroPress and a pour over kettle and all this coffee equipment. I'm saying this as a human being. Don't spend $10 on a drink that is truly going to affect your brain, your teeth, your body. Just drink coffee. That's too much stuff in a drink. It's insane. Oh my God. I just like reading through this article, I was so disgusted by these people. Ugh. This is one of the reasons why I don't like TikTok. I don't know what that means. It was because people find these drinks on TikTok. Or wherever they find wherever you get your things at. Episode 51. What's been going on with me in terms of business and job stuff? Just this morning, I was at the gym. I get an email. Boy, oh boy, it's from my audiobook job company. I finished the last audiobook I did with them. I get another offer for another audiobook. This is I must have done I think I've done a total of 13 auditions or so, 12 or 13 auditions, and I've only heard back from 5, been rejected from 3. So now I have a second one. This is great. And this one is going to be paid per hour, not based on royalty rate, which is something I look forward to. They gave me the projections of how much I should make. I'm going to go real slow. I'm going to go real slow. People are going to be like, the person who's paying me, or the author, is going to be like, you speed this up? I'm going to go, no, thank you. What is this? What is this? This might be spam. No, you ain't going to catch me. Sorry, I need to pull up LinkedIn. I'm looking at the spam folder on my email. Someone says they sent me a PayPal link. Anyway, there are no jobs out there. There's nowhere to apply. Every time I go on LinkedIn, I was going to say Wikipedia. Every time I go on LinkedIn, I see the same 7 styles of jobs, and they don't exist. The jobs don't exist, and the jobs that are on here don't exist. They've been up here for 3-4 months. No, no one's gonna. No, they're not hiring for that anymore. Let's move on. Let's talk about our first story. I have a big issue right now. Hold on. There are okay. There are roughly I'll say it 4 articles, but there's only 2. There are 4 articles up in my Chrome right now. There's only 2 I need to look at. There's other 2 that I just want to read by myself. Read to myself and just go, huh, interesting. And then relay that same information later. Huh, interesting. Wow, interesting. Okay, let me pull up the window capture, and that's not the one I want to go to. There we go. Yay! Okay. Okay. This one's called Amazon Tells Corporate Workers to Be Back in the Office 5 days a week. And it's written by Karen Weiss and Emma Goldberg. I wish there was a way to, if you're watching the video, I've brought the article up in in the video, but it's just so difficult. Okay, I'll just leave it like that. All right. This is nothing new. In the past couple of months, we've seen companies that once were for working from home now telling employees to come back in. Google, Apple, just a slew of companies have come out and said, hey, you guys need to come back in minimum 5 days a week. Minimum 5 days. Amazon in 2023 said 3 days a week was the mandate. And now Karen and Emma are writing appears to be the most stringent return to the office decision among big tech companies and could be a harbinger of more to come. This new rule. I have no clue why tech companies, Meta was one of them too, why tech companies would want to bring in people into the office, because a big part of working at Facebook, at Google, at Apple, what they were advertising is that, particularly at Google, was that you could work anywhere. You could work anywhere in the world as long as you tuned in during the times that you were supposed to be working. So if you were hired out of San Francisco and you moved to Bangkok, then you'd have to work on San Francisco time. And to see these companies push back and renege on these rules, it only does one thing. It does a lot of things. It makes people not want to work at these companies, because what if I don't live in Seattle anymore and Amazon is saying you need to be you need to be in the office? Well, I don't live in Seattle. I live in San Francisco, or I live in Portland. How am I gonna get up to Seattle 5 days a week? There's got to be exceptions to these things. So it's going to make people not want to work at that company anymore, or in that job, or in that office. And it's not going to make your bottom line any better or bigger. Amazon, which has always operated with tighter rules for its corporate workforce than its peers, is leading the way back to the office. Is not a surprise. Amazon has over the years shunned plush corporate campuses and lavish employee perks common among tech companies, while giving managers attrition targets for how many people should leave their teams. If anything, in the last 15 months, we've been back in the office at least 3 days a week, has strengthened our conviction about the benefits, Andy Jassy, Amazon's chief executive, wrote in a memo. Mr. Jassy said in-person collaboration allowed Amazon to move fast and retain its culture, which he said had become particularly hard to maintain as the company grew quickly during the pandemic. So they have about 350,000 corporate employees. and then more than a million employees working in warehouses and operations. I think this is a bad move. In-person collaboration is as not. I mean, it does as much as people who can sit at home on a phone call, on a video call, on Slack, and say the exact same things. Turn things in even quicker. An internal site for Amazon employees, viewed by the New York Times, said that attendance would be monitored by swipes of corporate badges and that employees must return to the office, even if there were not many members of their team in their location. It said the company was working to make conference rooms more available and was adding about 3,500 so-called phone booths in offices to accommodate additional employees. To cram so many people into these small spaces is nuts. It is so stupid, and you're just going to make people not want to be with the company any longer. No one's motivated to work like that, to work like rats anymore. The pandemic changed a lot of minds and how people view the world, for the better and for the worse. For the worst, for the worse. I should stop having. I had a latte this morning and I Irished it up a little bit. By Irish it up, I mean I beat my wife. Okay, I'm sorry. That was a good one. I thought that's pretty funny. I'm listening to too much Scott Galloway. If you know who Scott Galloway is, he's a millionaire entrepreneur mogul guy. Has a podcast with Kara Swisher. They talk about business, but at the first 10 minutes of that show are them catching up, and he tells a lot of bad jokes. Something like that. Giving employees workplace flexibility allowed companies to save money on office space and to offer work flexibility as a perk. We knew that in New York and San Francisco, just big cities, Chicago, companies were selling their footprints left and right. They didn't need these big offices because people were working from home. But now, this step back, where are they going to get the space? If I'm Amazon I don't know if they did this, but if I'm Amazon and I had a New York office and the office was on the island of Manhattan, that's what I was going to say, and I realized I should say something more serious. It's on the island of Manhattan, and it's in Tribeca. Couldn't think of a place quick enough. Couldn't think of a neighborhood. It's in Tribeca, and we owned. It was in a 20-floor building, and we owned 7 of those floors, and then we sold those floors. We sold 4 of those floors, and now we're down to 3. How are you going to pack so many people into those 3 floors? And then they go, okay, well, now we're going to also have a building in Hell's Kitchen, and then a building on the Queens. I don't know. I was also thinking of Harlem when I said Queens. Keep them on Manhattan. I was trying to do that. As employers focus on productivity, they also note that outside the office, people have returned entirely to pre-pandemic levels of activity. I don't know. Very true. I would still work with the same intensity I had during the pandemic, which is not very much. No, I was working hard. I was getting up every day. During the pandemic. This is very true. We can check the Garmin logs. We can check my Google Maps activity because I do track myself. Because you're not going to charge me with murder. Very true. That's not a joke. You're not going to charge me with murder. I'm gonna, the moment I'm like, this is where I was. Here you go. But I was getting up during the pandemic every day, same time as I get up now, 4 a.m. to work out, 5 a.m. then to work out and everything. Be done by 6:30, 7 o'clock. And well, at that time I was working at Bounce TV, so going to the office. Yeah, it's very true. In a February survey of more than 2,600 workers, nearly 40% said they had experienced one or two more changes in company RTO rules. Offices across the country have reached over 50% of pre-pandemic occupancy. The dog just sighed a very big sigh. According to Castle, the workplace security firm, just over a quarter of paid workdays were done from home in August, according to research from Stanford. One of my goals, and this is just such an odd goal for somebody who does not have a full-time job or work traditional hours, but one of my goals is I wouldn't even say it was a goal, but if I wanted to get out of the house and leave my nice new standing desk, my nice pre-owned standing desk, and my computer and my big screen, but if I wanted to get out of the house and work in an office style setting, I would definitely go to one of these shared office spaces. Now, in Atlanta, there are several companies that have shared office spaces. There are several companies of those several companies, there's a few of them which offer sites around the city, Atlanta, Buckhead, in the suburbs. If I ever wanted to go that far, I would never even go past Buckhead. I would never go to Buckhead. I think it's so great and so lovely. There's one company called Industrious that I would definitely, they're the most expensive. They are hands down the most expensive by hundreds of dollars. There's another one called Switch Yards that I like, but they reach capacity often for signups and for locations. You have to sign up for a specific location and then they reach capacity and then, then you're done. You have to wait for people to leave. And then Industrious is just, you pay $400, but you get this big office space. And if you pay the extra $100 fee, so it's $400 total, the extra $100 fee, you can go into any one of the locations around the nation. So it works out if your company is paying for it. Anyway, but that's what I would do. I would do a shared office location like Switch Yards, like Industrious, like I believe one's called Alkali, one down the street from me. I don't want to dox myself, but I think those are very interesting. And if they offer amenities from the same thing that companies offers, like free coffee, free snacks, that'd be great. Also in Switch Yards, you can't eat lunch inside the place, which is very funny. I think the same thing for Industrious too. I think you can't eat lunch in there. Makes sense. Anyway, and then also for Industrious, you can also bring your dog. Maverick would never. I would never do that. Never in my life would I do that. Even if he's acting good, which today he is. Yesterday? Sunday? Saturday? Friday? Definitely not. But what these companies have is they're lording over the idea that you have this job, we've given it to you, and you have to come in and work for us. So why don't we meet halfway? If people have to work from home and they've moved from that location, or they quite frankly just don't want to go into a public space that is where everybody's packed like sardines, in the same case, in the same idea that we sold our original building, now we're in a smaller building, but we still expect you to come in. Why don't they just offer stipends to pay for, not even stipends, why don't you just buy them a subscription to WeWork? If I work at Amazon and I moved from Seattle, and I was like, hey, let me go to Atlanta, and there's no Amazon office here, then you should, and you want me to come into the office, then get me a space at WeWork, give me a desk. Give me an office. Give me something. Because you can't just expect people to, and this is happening in January, so they expect this to start happening in January. But it's if enough people say something, then the company will go, hey, you can stay back at 3 days a week. then wouldn't this like work with your people, and they will stick with you. They'll be loyal. You just have to be smart about it. Okay, and this final thing I want to talk about. This is from Wall Street Journal, and it was a very interesting video to see. Don't look at my related videos because it's like it's like comedy and some tech review stuff. But I shouldn't have done that. This is a very interesting video called "Xbox Lost the Console War. Now it's redefining gaming." It comes from the Wall Street Journal, the Economics of series, and it is something that I completely disagree with. It's not the idea that a console war is still a thing. You know, years ago, decades ago, it was always like Nintendo versus PlayStation, or Nintendo versus Atari, and then Nintendo versus PlayStation, and then Nintendo and PlayStation and Sega Dreamcast, and then PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, and this idea, this notion, and I'll relate this back to business in a second, but this notion that there are console wars anymore, it's nonsense. The only thing that consoles have on each other now are exclusives. At Nintendo, I can play Super Mario Wonder and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Fallen Kingdom, a game which I'm like, let's pretend 8 hours in. My sister got it for me for my birthday last year. It's so daunting. It's so daunting. I put it down. I just want to play something else. I love the first one. Never beat the first one. I put like 30, 40 hours just wandering around in there, and I've never beaten Ganon on that. I've never beaten a Legend of Zelda game. I've always gotten to the final boss and went, that's it. That's very true. But I love Pokemon. I'll play Pokemon to my death. There's 1,000 of them. Anyway, and then on PlayStation side, I can play the Uncharted games. I can play Last of Us if that's something I want to do. And then on Xbox, I can play Forza, I can play Gears, I can play Halo, all that stuff. But if we're looking in 2024, Sony is releasing games on they're releasing their first party games on Steam. They're releasing it on PC now. So now I can grab my Steam Deck and I can play the new God of War reboot. I can play Last of Us. I can play Spider-Man remastered. I guess that's what that one called. And then same thing for Xbox. Although I have to do a lot of work to get Xbox games to work on the Steam Deck, but I can play games from Game Pass. I can download Forza Horizon 5 from Steam and play it. And I can buy these things and they can work. The only things I can't play are Nintendo games. But what I'm saying is console wars do not exist anymore. And people who think like that are not looking, don't know what games are. So this video is it's a very interesting video. They talk about why Xbox lost the gaming war, and they talk to experts and everything like that. But what they're looking at are lifetime sales. They're comparing the current thing of PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series S and X, and they're saying, hey, the PlayStation 5 has outsold the Xbox Series X and X. Great, okay, whatever. And then what else does Xbox offer? Well, they offer Game Pass. Game Pass is a subscription service where you can subscribe to, obviously, where you subscribe to this thing called Xbox Game Pass, which now has 4 different tiers, I believe. And I'm just going to talk about the biggest tier, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. You subscribe, you get access to video games. You get access to all the first-party Xbox games, all the stuff, all the studios that they purchased up, including Bethesda Softworks. Is that the name? Bethesda, including Bethesda. And you get to play exclusives like Starfield, and you get when games launch only on Xbox, then you'll get day one access to those games without having to pay the $60 or $70 to play those games. Not every game that releases on Xbox is on Game Pass. They have to set up a deal, whatever. Okay, so the Game Pass subscriptions in this video, they talk about how the subscriptions year over year have gone down slightly. And yeah, I mean, sure, it's in 2020 the target growth for Game Pass was 71%. And the actual growth was 86. And then 2021, it was target growth was 48%, actual growth was 37. 2022, target growth was 73, actual growth 28. These things level out. People, with Game Pass, you also get deals. You get deals? What? Yeah, you get deals so if there's a sale and they have a discount, they have like a 10% discount on the Microsoft Store for some games, then sometimes you get a 15% discount because you already subscribed to Game Pass and that game is on Game Pass. Boom, whatever. Okay. But Sony offers PlayStation Plus, where it's the same thing. And also for Game Pass, you get to play some games via the cloud. I believe all games via the cloud. You can play them on your phone. You can play them on your computer or whatever. The crux of this video talks about that, like how Xbox is not focusing so much on the hardware. They're also the company is focusing on the software and how to get Game Pass everywhere. More recently, you could download. They released a Game Pass app for televisions, for the Samsung televisions, for Sony televisions. So you can download Xbox Game Pass on your Sony Brava television, connect a Bluetooth controller, and you can play games from the cloud as long as you subscribe to Game Pass. Again, you don't own these games. It's just connected to your account. You can also play Game Pass on, you can download an app on your phone. You can put it on your computer, play through Chrome. As long as you have a controller and it has an internet connection, you can pretty much play in a browser. You can pretty much play anywhere. This is where but the idea is that this world is already going towards subscriptions. People don't buy movies anymore except for freaks like me. People don't buy music anymore except for freaks. I wouldn't say like me, but there are high quality websites where you buy high quality songs. Because hey, people have DACs. If I want to listen to The Weeknd or Taylor Swift or U2 and their highest quality, and I can go to I think it's what are these? What are the high quality websites? HD Tracks, Qobuz. I want to listen to the 4K of music. That's all I want. But yeah, music is easier to get via Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. Movies are easier to get via Netflix, Disney Plus, Max. But there's still a contingency of people who want to buy things and own things, and that's what's important. And recently, last week, I believe, Sony announced the PlayStation 5 Pro. It comes discless, so you can buy a disc reader that's $80, and you attach it to your $700 PlayStation. The thing is, people in the middle of the country don't have the best internet. People in Atlanta don't have the best. And I have Google Fiber, but I know people who have Comcast Xfinity, just regular, no fiber, nothing like that. People in New York, that was a big thing during the pandemic, was that kids would go home and they don't have internet access. Even though at this point in the state of the world, it needs to be like water. Internet, it should be free. So, I mean, it's to say Xbox lost a war that has not been going on since before the PS4 Xbox One era. Like even in the PS3 Xbox 360 era, I would say, hey, that's done, because these three console makers are making three different things. Xbox is all about backwards compatibility and being able to access every game, pretty much every game that they've ever released, that has ever been released on Xbox. Pretty much every single one. There's still a lot of games that have licensing issues or that companies aren't paying attention to. I still have I have 2 games that I cannot put inside of my Xbox Series X and play, but I still own them because I love them to death. The Simpsons game and I believe NBA Street Home Court. Yes, yeah, it's NBA Street Home Court. But those are the 2 games of all the physical games I still have. I still kept those 2. Also, they're not going to make me any money. I can't sell those to make money. And then for Sony, you know, it's all about more or less raw power when it comes to this PS5 Pro. Also, you don't need a PS5 Pro. No one needs that. Unless not even that. Just build a computer. And then for Nintendo, it's all about accessibility and software. Their hardware is, you know, I would say their hardware is it's good, solid hardware, but it's not something you're going to write home about. It's about experiencing, you know, with Nintendo. But I think they're all aiming for the same thing, which is sales. But in a subscription-based world, Microsoft is thinking about software more or less because they don't really their hardware sales aren't doing much. Sony is trying to capture everybody's hearts, but you can only capture stupid people for so long. I'm just saying, here's a little aside. If your personality is PlayStation's the best because it sells the most or because their games look better, it's all the same. It's all the same shit. It's all the same thing. Play enough games. This is from a guy who has access to every game ever. It's all the same thing, man. And then Nintendo's going for experience, for fun, you know, more or less. I guess I'm saying more or less. But this whole console war business idea is donezo. We don't need that anymore. The idea of the console war is done. I like, this is like, it's the same thing. I feel as though it's the same thing when I turn on a show on ESPN. I turn on a show on Fox Sports, and it's 4 men going goat, best team ever. Like, you can't have the same conversation over and over again and expect to mine diamonds from it. No, you're gonna the deeper you go, you're gonna get more dirt. We've already passed the diamond mine. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I know what I'm saying. The better the best sports analysis shows are the ones that can get past going goat, best of all time, greatest of all time. This is the best team. Michael, no one can beat Michael Jordan right now. Like it's like LeBron is better than Michael. Steph's better than LeBron. Like, we can get past those conversations and have more nuanced talks about, okay, what happened with Jason Tatum during the Olympics and how does he feel about that situation? We can have those conversations as opposed to goat, best of all time, greatest of all time. And to attribute that back to the business of Microsoft, the business of Sony and Nintendo and PC gaming and just gaming as a whole, is that we can work past, you know, PlayStation has sold the most. PS2 is the highest selling console of all time. Wii is the second highest selling console of all time, and that's what makes them good. Now, what makes them good are the experiences that we had with them. We go past the surface level. That being said, I play most of my games on Xbox. Why? This is where that's where I happen to land. I only bought the PS4 for one game, Until Dawn. I loved it. And it came with Uncharted. And I do not like Uncharted 1. I think Uncharted 2 is good. I think Uncharted 3 is good. I finally finished Uncharted 4. Good. And I got, comparatively, I have more games on the Xbox compared to PlayStation. I think on Nintendo, I think on my Switch, I've got so many games. It's ridiculous. and I do not play the Switch at all. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's it. That's all I want to talk about. Listen, if you like what you heard here, and I don't know why you would, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people sometimes. If you want to see a video version of this show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. And if you want to see a video version of the other podcasts, the Constitutionals podcast, which is the entertainment business news show, and Late Night Lately, which is the late night show, you can go to there. Subscribe to those podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram @cpluscomedy. Me @ChadBlackwhite. Thank you so much. Bye.